Muscle weakness after 60 is often treated like an unavoidable destiny, as if the calendar itself slowly drains strength from the body. But that belief is one of the biggest myths surrounding aging, because muscles do not have an expiration date. They respond to signals, not birthdays. And even later in life, they remain biologically capable of growing stronger, repairing themselves, and adapting when given the correct messages. Many people notice weaker legs, reduced grip, or slower movement and assume this is simply what aging looks like, but in reality what they are experiencing is muscle underuse combined with poor signaling from nutrition, movement, and recovery, not an irreversible shutdown. The body is incredibly economical and it only maintains what it believes is necessary. When strength is no longer demanded or supported, muscles quietly shrink to conserve energy. But when the demand returns and the environment improves, muscles respond even decades later. After 60, the body becomes more selective, protein is not absorbed as efficiently, inflammation interferes with repair, and recovery takes longer. But this does not mean growth is impossible. It only means the strategy must become smarter rather than harder. Sending the right signals tells the body that muscle tissue is still valuable, that strength is still required for survival and independence, resistance from simple movements, adequate nutrition, stable blood sugar, reduced inflammation, and consistent daily habits all work together to flip the internal switch from muscle loss to muscle preservation, and then slowly to muscle rebuilding. One of the most empowering truths about aging is that muscle cells retain memory, a concept known as muscle memory, meaning muscles that were once active earlier in life can regain strength faster than brand new tissue. Even long periods of inactivity do not erase this potential, they only silence it. Once the correct signals return, muscles begin responding again, fibers thicken, coordination improves, and confidence follows. This is why some people in their 70s show noticeable strength improvements within months, not years. The problem is not age itself, the problem is the absence of clear, repeated signals that tell the body strength still matters. Many older adults unknowingly send the opposite message through long sitting hours, restrictive eating, fear of movement, or skipping meals. The body interprets this as a command to downsize muscle tissue. But when these patterns change even slightly, the biological response shifts. Muscles do not argue, they obey. Instead of thinking about getting younger, the focus should be on getting clearer with signals. Muscles thrive on clarity, regular nourishment, gentle challenge, and recovery. This combination reassures the nervous system and hormonal system that investing energy into muscle is still worthwhile, and the body follows through. Muscle weakness after 60 is not a locked door. It is a dim room waiting for light. Once the signals improve, the response begins quietly, then visibly, then functionally, transforming daily tasks from effort back into ease, restoring stability, confidence, and independence in ways many people believed were no longer possible, proving again that aging changes the rules but never ends the game. Sarcopenia rarely arrives with a warning sign. It doesn't announce itself with sudden pain or dramatic weight loss. Instead, it slips quietly into daily life, a little less strength in the legs, a slower rise from a chair, a feeling that tasks which were once automatic now require planning. And because these changes happen gradually, many people assume nothing can be done. But this silent progression is exactly why sarcopenia is so dangerous, and also why it is so responsive when addressed early and consistently. Muscle loss begins long before it is obvious, and the earlier the signals change, the more powerful the response can be at any age. The body is constantly adapting to how it is used. When muscles are challenged, they grow or maintain themselves, and when they are ignored, they shrink. Sarcopenia is essentially the result of long periods where the body receives the message that muscle is no longer a priority. Aging can make this process faster, but it is not the true cause. The true driver is reduced stimulation combined with weaker nutrition signals and higher inflammation. This combination creates an environment where muscle tissue is slowly dismantled to save energy, not because the body is failing, but because it believes the muscle is no longer needed. What makes sarcopenia especially concerning is how it feeds into other problems. Weaker muscles lead to balance issues. Balance issues increase fear of movement. Fear reduces activity, and reduced activity accelerates further muscle loss. This cycle often goes unnoticed until a fall or injury occurs, and by that point people believe the damage is permanent. But the body never truly forgets how to rebuild, it simply waits for a reason. Even in later decades of life, muscle cells retain the machinery required for repair and growth. Studies consistently show that older adults respond positively to resistance, adequate protein, and supportive nutrition. The rate of change may be slower compared to younger bodies, but the direction of change still exists, and direction is far more important than speed. When the body senses safety, stability, and consistent demand, it begins reallocating resources back toward muscle tissue. Inflammation and insulin resistance quietly worsen sarcopenia, blocking nutrients from reaching muscle cells and interfering with protein synthesis. But these barriers are not fixed, reducing inflammation through diet, improving blood sugar control, and restoring gut health can dramatically improve muscle response. Once nutrients begin reaching their target again, muscle loss slows and rebuilding becomes possible. The most hopeful aspect of sarcopenia is that reversal does not require extreme measures. It requires repeated reminders to the body that strength still matters, gentle resistance, daily movement, enough calories, and nutrient-dense foods create a steady signal. Instead of a shock, muscles respond better to calm consistency than to sudden intensity. Sarcopenia is not an irreversible decline. It is a quiet conversation between lifestyle and biology. And when that conversation changes, the outcome changes too. Strength returns gradually, stability improves, and independence can be protected far longer than most people are told, reminding us that muscle loss may be silent. But so is muscle rebuilding, until one day it is suddenly obvious. Many people believe that once muscle strength fades with age, it can never truly return. But this belief misunderstands how the human body works. Muscles do not shut down with age. They simply become more selective about when they invest energy into growth and repair. After 60, the body demands clearer, stronger signals before committing resources. But when those signals are present, muscles still respond, adapt, and strengthen in ways that surprise even long-time skeptics. Muscle tissue is highly adaptive at every stage of life, and aging does not remove this adaptability. It changes the conditions under which it operates. Younger muscles grow quickly in response to almost any challenge, while older muscles require a supportive environment. One where inflammation is controlled, nutrients are delivered efficiently, and recovery is respected. When these conditions align, muscle protein synthesis increases, strength improves, and coordination sharpens. A critical factor in this process is inflammation. Chronic low-level inflammation, common in older adults, acts like background noise that disrupts muscle communication. Reducing this inflammation through food choices, movement, and improved sleep clears that noise and allows the muscle-building signals to be heard again. Once inflammation quiets, protein and exercise become far more effective than they would be in an inflamed environment. Energy production also plays a major role. Muscles require energy to contract, repair, and grow. Aging muscles often struggle because their cellular energy factories work less efficiently. But this decline is not permanent. Supporting mitochondrial health through proper nutrition, antioxidants, and physical activity helps muscles regain the energy needed for adaptation. When energy improves, muscles become more responsive and fatigue decreases. Hormonal signaling, though altered with age, still supports muscle growth when conditions are favorable. Insulin sensitivity determines whether nutrients reach muscle cells or remain unused in the bloodstream. Improving this sensitivity ensures that amino acids and glucose are delivered where they are needed most. turning meals into building blocks instead of wasted calories. Another often overlooked element is confidence in movement. Fear of injury leads many older adults to avoid resistance, but muscles weaken more from avoidance than from safe challenge. Gentle and progressive resistance reassures the nervous system, restoring coordination and stability, which further supports muscle engagement and strength gains. Consistency is what ties everything together. Muscles respond not to rare bursts of effort, but to repeated, predictable signals, daily nourishment, regular movement, adequate rest, and emotional reassurance, all combine to tell the body that strength remains valuable. And when the body receives this message clearly, it responds over time. Muscle growth after 60 may appear slower on the surface, but beneath that calm pace, biological changes are unfolding, fibers thicken, neural connections strengthen, and functional ability improves quietly, step by step, proving that age does not cancel the body's capacity to rebuild. It simply asks for patience, intention, and respect for the signals that guide growth. Chronic inflammation is one of the most overlooked reasons muscle strength declines with age. It does not feel dramatic. It rarely causes immediate pain, and yet it quietly interferes with the body's ability to build and protect muscle tissue. After 60, the immune system often stays slightly activated, creating a constant low-grade inflammatory state that disrupts muscle protein synthesis, slows recovery, and accelerates muscle breakdown. When this background inflammation remains unchecked, even good nutrition and exercise produce weaker results than they should. Apples play an important role in calming this internal environment because they are rich in natural anti-inflammatory compounds that work gently and consistently. Unlike medications that force inflammation down temporarily, the plant chemicals in apples support the body's own regulatory systems, helping them return to balance over time. This creates a biological setting where muscles are more willing to repair and strengthen rather than break down. One of the key contributors to this effect is the wide range of polyphenols found in apples. These compounds help neutralize inflammatory signals that interfere with muscle communication. When these signals are reduced, muscle cells respond better to amino acids and physical activity. And this improved responsiveness is critical for older adults whose muscles have become resistant to growth cues. Inflammation also affects blood flow to muscles. Reducing the delivery of oxygen and nutrients, apples support vascular health by improving the flexibility of blood vessels, which enhances circulation. Better circulation ensures that muscles receive what they need during activity and recovery, helping them maintain size and function instead of shrinking over time. Another benefit of reducing inflammation is improved joint comfort and mobility. When joints move more freely, muscles can be used more naturally and more often. This increased usage sends consistent signals to maintain and strengthen muscle tissue, making inflammation reduction a cornerstone of long-term muscle preservation. The anti-inflammatory impact of apples is closely tied to their fiber content. Fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and a healthy gut plays a powerful role in regulating immune responses. When gut bacteria are balanced, inflammatory markers decrease, hormone signaling improves, and nutrient absorption becomes more efficient, all of which directly influence muscle health. By lowering inflammation, apples help remove one of the biggest invisible barriers to muscle growth after 60. They do not act as a stimulant or a shortcut, but as a stabilizer, restoring the biological environment needed for muscle maintenance. This stability allows exercise and protein intake to work together more effectively. When inflammation decreases, recovery improves, soreness is reduced, and energy levels feel more consistent. This encourages regular movement rather than cycles of effort followed by fatigue. And regular movement is what muscles respond to most reliably. Over time, the cumulative effect of reduced inflammation becomes noticeable. Muscles maintain their tone. Strength losses slow and physical confidence increases, demonstrating that something as simple as regularly eating apples can quietly support the fight against muscle decline by addressing one of its deepest underlying causes. Energy is the foundation of every muscle movement, every contraction, and every repair process, and without sufficient energy at the cellular level, muscles simply cannot respond. Regardless of age or effort, one of the reasons muscle weakness appears more quickly after 60 is because the tiny energy centers inside muscle cells begin to lose efficiency, leading to quicker fatigue, slower recovery, and weaker adaptations to exercise. This is where quercetin, a natural compound found in apples, becomes especially important. Quercetin plays a powerful role in supporting mitochondrial function, and mitochondria are the structures responsible for producing energy within muscle cells. When mitochondria work efficiently, muscles receive a steady supply of energy, allowing them to perform work, recover afterward, and adapt by becoming stronger. Research shows that quercetin helps protect mitochondria from oxidative stress, one of the main factors that causes their decline with age. Oxidative stress acts like rust inside muscle cells, damaging structures involved in energy production. Over time, this leads to reduced endurance and faster muscle breakdown. Quercetin's antioxidant properties help neutralize these damaging molecules, preserving mitochondrial integrity and allowing muscles to generate energy more effectively, even in later years. Better mitochondrial function also improves how muscles respond to activity. Instead of fatiguing quickly and shutting down, muscles are able to stay engaged longer, sending stronger signals to grow and adapt. This endurance effect makes gentle exercise more productive, meaning even low-intensity resistance can stimulate positive muscle changes. Another important aspect of quercetin is its effect on muscle inflammation related to energy use. When muscles produce energy inefficiently, they generate more inflammatory byproducts, which further suppress muscle growth. Quercetin helps break this cycle by improving energy efficiency and reducing inflammatory stress inside muscle cells. As mitochondrial health improves, recovery between activity sessions becomes faster. Muscles replenish their energy stores more effectively. Soreness becomes easier to manage, and readiness for movement returns sooner. These recovery improvements are essential for older adults because frequent long recovery periods often discourage consistent exercise. Quercetin also supports oxygen utilization within muscle tissue. Better oxygen delivery and use means muscles can perform work using less effort. This improved efficiency helps restore confidence in movement, encouraging regular physical activity, which further strengthens muscle signaling. The presence of quercetin in apples makes this fruit especially valuable because it delivers this compound naturally alongside fiber, vitamins, and other supportive nutrients. This combination ensures quercetin is absorbed steadily and used efficiently without overstimulation. Over time, improved mitochondrial function creates a cascade of benefits. Muscles feel more energetic, strength gains become more noticeable, and daily tasks require less effort, showing that supporting energy production at the cellular level is one of the most effective ways to fight muscle decline after 60, and that sometimes the key to stronger muscles is not pushing harder, but powering them better.